Bonjour, I'm Molly and I'm currently studying A-Level French. In this video, I'm going to walk through the 2022 AQA GCSE French reading paper and give you my top tips and tricks along the way. Your real exam in 2024 is on the 14th of May. For the reading paper, you get a full 60 minutes, so I will spend that time answering each question one by one, showing you how I would answer it. There's a link to the paper in the description if you want to do it with me. Let's do this. Okay, question 1. An extreme sports person. Read this online article about a champion climber. Okay, and it's a true or false question, but you also need to write NT if it's not in the text. Okay, you need to look out for the fact that sometimes NT and false, they can seem very similar and difficult to distinguish, and that can sometimes hold you back, but you just need to be really thorough and precise in reading it and drawing out the information. So let's start. Okay, James fait de l'escalade sans équipement. Okay, fait de l'escalade, that is a phrase which means to do climbing. And sans, you've got that here and here, that means without. So James does climbing without equipment, that's a cognate. Okay, and it says here, James escalade, that's the same as fait de l'escalade. It means the same thing. It's in the past tense. James climbed the Eiffel Tower without authorization, basically without permission. He wanted to buy a ticket to climb to the second floor, deuxième étage, second floor, then, puis, continue on the structure. The number of tourists was a too large obstacle to the success of this project. Okay, so trop, I would say that usually means something negative, so always look out for that. Then it says, so he waited an hour in the morning to do this exploit, after he promised to never go near the tower again. Promesse qu'il va observer, a promise that he's going to keep. Okay, let's answer these questions then. James had permission to climb the tower. He didn't, because it says James climbed the Eiffel Tower without permission, so that's clearly false. Second question. He had to change his original plan. Okay, well it says here he wanted to buy a ticket to get to the second floor and then continue the structure. But then after that it says the number of tourists got in the way of it, so clearly he did have to change his plan. He could no longer buy a ticket and climb to the second floor and then continue. So that is true. Okay, climbing the tower took more than an hour. Well, it says here une heure, which is hour, but it also says he waited an hour in the morning to do the exploit. But it doesn't say he climbed for an hour, it only says he waited for an hour, and that's different. I would say that this is not in the text. It doesn't say anywhere that it doesn't say anywhere how long it took for him to climb. So I'm going to write NT. And then it says here, he will go back to the tower soon. Well, here it says he promised to never go near the tower and that he's going to keep that promise. So that must be false. He's not going to go back to the tower soon because he's promised that he won't. Okay, question 2. Tourist guide. You see a Swiss blog which talks about becoming a guide. Okay, so here it just wants you to give advantages and disadvantages. So I'm going to read through this and try and highlight the advantages and the disadvantages, as well as some important vocab, and then we'll answer these. Okay, le premier avantage. Okay, that's already telling us the first advantage. The first advantage of being a tourist guide is to mieux, which means better, connaître, which means know, and l'histoire, obviously that's a cognate, history. So know the history better. Okay, that's the first one. Par ailleurs, that means in addition, or like furthermore, or moreover, that kind of thing. A guide will have no, so ne and aucune, that's a negative construction, which means no. A guide will have no occasion of being in bad company. Okay, I'm going to highlight that whole thing. It is easy to find a temporary job. Okay, that already is an advantage. outside the tourist season. Okay, and then it gives us a reason for that there. But honestly, these reasons here, like because people are always in a good mood, and this one here about saying that the job needs a knowledge in several languages, that's irrelevant. You just want the advantages. So we've already highlighted 3 advantages here, and I'm going to start writing them in. Okay, so the first advantage, it says here to better know the history. So I'm going to write that very simply. They don't really want full sentences. So I'm going to write know the history better. And the second advantage is a guide will have no occasion of being in bad company. Basically, that's very wordy, and if you want to get to the point, it's literally just saying a guide will always be in good company. They're trying to catch you out there. In good company, okay. Okay, 3. The third one, it says, it is easy to find a temporary job outside the tourist season. It is easy to find a temporary job outside the tourist season. Question 2, disadvantages. Let's go through and highlight. Okay, it is necessary to note that this job is not without inconvenience or without disadvantage. Okay, in effect, it is necessary to, I think this is the disadvantage, to always be ready to work during the summer. That's the first one. Then it says certain guides must even work 7 days a week. Okay, that's 7 jours, that's a phrase in French, which in English is like saying 7 days a week. It means the same thing. Okay, so we've got 2 here. I'm going to add them in. And the second one, certain guides must even work 7 days a week. I'm going to just write you might have to work 7 days a week. Question 3. Film reviews. On a French cinema website, you read these reviews of a recent film. What do these reviewers think about the film? Okay, it's a positive and negative question. I really like these. They're generally quite accessible and easy to do because you need to look out for positive adjectives or negative adjectives. And if it's positive and negative, usually there'll be some kind of however in the middle of the sentence. Like, something's good, however, it's also bad. Like, those kind of connectives generally suggest it's positive and negative. Let's go through all of these and see what it is. Okay, A, un bon film. Okay, bon, that's good. A good film that you must go and see. That's completely positive. So I'm going to write positive for A. Okay, B. Avec une grande délicatesse, le cinéaste s'approche tout près. Okay, une grande délicatesse, that is positive. And then it says, it just describes what the filmmaker, le cinéaste, does. Yeah, that's kind of irrelevant. But then at the end it has remarquable. That's remarkable, it's positive. Okay, that's completely positive. Question C. À travers ces 2 jeunes filles. Okay, through these 2 young girls, just remember, à travers, that's a good phrase, it means through. We understand their world. Okay, I would say that's positive. We're understanding their world. The film is successful. We've managed to understand their world. Some sequences are a little long. Okay, that's negative. So I would say here, this is negative and positive. So we understand their world, but certain sequences are a bit long. So I'm going to write positive and negative for that one. Reviewer D. The life is too short. Trop. Remember trop, that that's usually used in a negative way. Life is too short. Okay, that's negative. To see a film so uninteresting. In addition, the documentary is not subtle. Okay, subtil, that is a cognate, it means subtle, obviously. So I would say that the whole of D is completely negative. There's nothing positive about that. Okay, reviewer E. Réalisateur, that is director. The director a suivi, followed, during 5 years, 2 young adolescents. Frankly, he wasted his time and his money. Okay, that's completely negative. Gaspiller means waste. You also get the noun version of it, le gaspillage, a waste. And then you also have the verb here, gaspiller, to waste. Okay, that's completely negative. Question 4. Poems. Read these extracts from some French poems. What is the subject of each poem? Write the correct letter in each box. Okay, so we've got An Offer of Love, we've got Going to War, Growing Older, Listening to Music, and The Beauty of Nature. And we've only got 3 poems, so this should be quite straightforward. They will go with me for the fields of the battle. So the battlefields. Okay, champ, field, bataille, battle. And we're talking about battlefields. And I don't think it's necessary to read anymore. That's clearly about going to war. So poem 1 is B, Going to War. Fab. Okay. I was young and beautiful, and I knew it. But suddenly, I had just found, je venais de trouver. Basically, if you have the phrase venir, which means to come, plus de, plus an infinitive, it sort of suggests I have just done something, I had just done something. And also this whole thing is in the imperfect tense, so it's talking about some kind of state that the author used to be in. I used to be young and beautiful, and I used to know it. Well, I knew it. So this whole thing, that could be about growing older, but I'm just going to read a bit more. But suddenly I just found some white hairs. Okay, that's definitely about growing older. So 2 is C. Poem 3. Okay. Si vous faut connaître cher. That's some difficult language. And actually all that's standing out to me is that here, the second line, un être pour vous aimer beaucoup, a being to like you a lot, basically. It's very bad English. Aimer beaucoup, that is definitely got to be about love. And actually, even if you're struggling with this poem, you can do process of elimination, because this poem's got nothing to do with the beauty of nature or listening to music. And we already know that the rest of them are about going to war and growing older. So poem 3 must be A. Okay. 5. In an online article, doctors are giving advice on managing allergies. Which kind of allergy are they describing? Okay, let's read through all of these. Actually, no, let's look at the options. We've got food, dust, pollen, and sunlight. So I'm going to read through all of these and just see if we can find any language, any vocabulary that kind of goes with any of these options. So the first one, this allergy shows itself, se manifeste, by an eruption, basically, a cognate, an eruption of small red spots. Okay, so bouton actually means button, but like it's a phrase in French that just means it like spots. Okay, so an eruption of small red spots. I'm not sure what that is. And then it says here, the advice, to stay in the shade, to be in like darkness, être à l'ombre. And then it says here, to cover oneself well. So you need to stay in the shade, and cover yourself well. That's got to be about sunlight. So for 5.4, I'm going to do A. We could be wrong, but I feel pretty confident about that. Okay, B. A person who is in contact with the allergen cries. Okay, you cry when you're in contact with the allergen. Pleur, that means cry. So is that hay fever or something? Let's just read the rest. It is recommended, il est recommandé, to not go out too much in spring when the trees are in flowers. Okay, that's definitely hay fever, but I think it says pollen. That's the same kind of thing. So 5.3 is B. Okay, C. The allergens are primarily, that's not what I meant to do. Principalement dans les poils. Okay, poil, that's fur, like on animals. Then urine and saliva, these are very similar words in English, that cognates of certain beasts or animals, notably birds and horses. Okay, this is about an allergy to animals, because you're talking about their fur and their saliva, and yeah, and it says here, avoid to caress them, basically avoid kind of touching them. But there's nothing here about animals, so I'm going to say that C is irrelevant. I'm just going to put a cross for it for now. D, keep the house clean. Propre, that's clean. Garder means keep. And use, this is all in the imperative, use a damp tissue to reduce the accumulation of the allergen. It's talking about keeping the house clean, so I think that could be dust. Again, not 100% confident, but I'll see what the other options are. This probably is right. D. Here it says, okay, E. For those who are allergic to insects, these small animals, this is about insects. I don't need to read any more, really. There's nothing here about insects, so I'm going to guess that this is wrong as well. Okay, F. The allergic reactions can, survenir, that means kind of overcome quickly, rapidement, après avoir déjeuné. Okay, this is a phrase, après avoir plus your past participle means after having whatever it is. In this case, it's had lunch. Okay, so this is about eating. Consult with attention. I think this is paquet, le paquet des plats préparés, so prepared meals. Les noix, the nuts are particularly dangerous. This has got to be about food. Like, allergies to nuts and stuff. That's F. Okay. 6. Environmental problems. In a French newspaper, you see this article about the environment on Réunion Island. Okay. Let's just, what are these questions? Okay, so we've got these. Let's read through it and highlight some key points and then try and answer them. What is the result of the droughts? Okay, let's see if we can find that. La Réunion, the Réunion offers a large variety of landscapes, but life is not always rosy. Life is not always good. À cause de, that means because of. Sécheresse, that means like drought, dryness, lack of rain. Répété, repeated droughts. In certain parts of the country, food, alimentaire, like as in the adjective food, insecurity, has worsened, s'est aggravé, sorry. En conséquence, as a result, lots of families do not take regular meals, repas, meals. Okay. Does that answer the first one? Okay. Because of the repeated droughts, food insecurity has increased. That answers the first one. What is the result of the droughts? Okay. Food insecurity has not increased, maybe worsened, because that's what it says. 6.2. What is the result of the fires? Let's look for that. d'ailleurs, which means moreover, inhabitants must abandon their houses because the summer estival, that's the adjective, like summer season, is always marked by numerous incendies, fires. So fires, so here it says basically there's lots of fires in the summer season, and as a result inhabitants must leave their homes. Okay, inhabitants must leave their homes. Cool. What are the 2 consequences of the inadequate recycling centres? Okay, let's look for that. The augmentation, that's increased, continued increase of the population complicates the management of ordures domestiques, so recycling centres, that kind of thing. The 3 centres of treatment of open waste, déchets waste, in 2020 are already insufficient. That's not telling us the consequences just yet. Okay. The savage discharges. Okay, this could be better English, but you get the gist. Savage discharges of waste provoke visual pollution to the landscape, and plastic wastes end up in the sea. Okay, that answers these 2. We've got visual pollution and plastic waste in the sea. Visual pollution to the area and plastic waste ends up in the sea. What can tourists do to help? Okay, so here it says, pour éviter la surconsommation énergétique. Okay, basically consommation, which is the word which is inside surconsommation, that means consumption. But with sur, it means overconsumption. Like when you see sur in front of a word, it generally means over. And then énergétique, so overconsumption of energy. It is recommended to tourists to turn off, couper, to cut or turn off. Climatisation, that is like air conditioning. To cut or turn off their air conditioning systematically when they are not present in their bedroom. Okay. By going on a walk, faire une promenade means to go on a walk, en faisant une promenade, but it's been put into a different form with this present participle. They must not go out of the indicated tourist paths, chemin, paths. Okay, so that must be the second piece of advice. They must not go out of these indicated pathways or routes. And then the last one, one asks them to renounce, it says here, renounce picking rare plants to protect fragile ecosystems. Okay, so that's the last one. Let's answer that. So the first one is to turn off their air conditioning when they're not in their room. Okay, and the second one is to not leave the indicated tourist pathways, or to stay in indicated, how do I put this in English? Indicated paths. Okay, I'm just gonna write stay in the marked tourist paths. That makes sense actually. And the third one we asked them to not pick rare plants. And I'm going to write, don't pick rare plants. Okay. Question 7, apprenticeships. You see this online forum in which students give their opinions about their apprenticeships. Who makes the following statements? Okay, we've got Arthur and Basma. And the questions are here. I'm going to read through Arthur's first and just see what I can find, highlight any key points. Since, depuis que, means since I am small, since I was small. I know that says I am small, but you've got depuis, so it means since I was small. I am interested in an apprenticeship in the sector of beauty, so the beauty sector. I have equally followed classes which will allow me, permettront, future tense, which will allow me, plus tard, later, to have my own business in another town. Okay, that already answers the first one. Arthur wants to run his own business. That must be him. I'm just going to leave some space in case it's Basma as well. Let's keep going. The life costs a lot. Life is expensive. Coûte cher means to be expensive. Life is expensive there, ici. Therefore, donc, I don't have enough money. The classes were fascinating and it was really worth it. Okay. Ça valait la peine. That means it was worth it. The infinitive phrase is valoir la peine, which means to be worth it. It's a nice little idiom. So let's just see. Arthur's saying he's going to have his own business. We've done that. This is not true for Arthur. He does have money worries. He says life is expensive. I found my apprenticeship worthwhile. Let's see if that's true. Yes, because he said they were worth it and they were fascinating. So that's Arthur as well. I've always wanted to do an apprenticeship. Well, it says here, since he was little, he's been interested in it. So I'm guessing that's him as well. I want to work somewhere else. It doesn't really say that here. He wants to have his business in another town. But that's not really working somewhere. Well, maybe it is. I'm going to leave that one for now because otherwise it's a bit, something's off. If I've got that many A's, then it's probably not correct. Let's have a look at Basma. Okay, let's look at Basma. Je n'avais pas en tête l'apprentissage. Okay. Let's just ignore the negative. Avait en tête means had in mind, because tête means head. It's sort of like had in my head. Apprenticeship. I did not have apprenticeship in mind. But since 3 years, I am in alternance. That's like work and study. 1 month at school, 1 month in the business. So yeah, that's an apprenticeship. One acquires a maturity, and I could even earn lots of money. One proposed to me a post there, like a job, a post, or a position, but I refused. I want to see how it happens elsewhere in France. It's not necessary you must not hesitate to throw yourself, to launch yourself, to launch yourself. Okay. Yeah, Basma, I'm just seeing here, I want to work somewhere else. That's definitely Basma because it says here, someone like gave me a job here, there, but I refused. And he wants to see how it works ailleurs, elsewhere in France. So that's got to be Basma. I have no money worries. He doesn't have any money worries. He doesn't say anything about stuff being expensive, and he even says here he was able to get a lot of money. Okay, let's just go over all of these, because there's got to be some A and B somewhere. Okay, does Basma want to run their own business? No, it doesn't say that anywhere. They just want a job. I have no money worries. Yeah, that's just Basma. I found my apprenticeship worthwhile. Yes, he has they have, because one acquires a maturity and Basma is also able to make lots of money, so it clearly was worthwhile. And 7.4, I always wanted to do an apprenticeship. That's clearly just Arthur, because at the start here it says I didn't have in mind apprenticeship. So that's just Arthur. I want to work somewhere else. That's just Basma, I believe. Section B. Okay, so here you need to answer in French. Phantom, that means a ghost. Phantom of the Opera. Okay, you've probably heard of this. Complete the following text with the words in the list. Write the right letter, la bonne lettre dans chaque case. So we've got asseoir, criant, danser, disputer, entendant, passer, réprimander, et tomber. So often to do these kind of questions, because you get these in A-Level as well, you need to read it through as though there's no gaps, and then you can kind of find the word that best fits into the sense of it. And if you're struggling, then look at it grammatically, because obviously asseoir, that's not going to come here. It just wouldn't work as an infinitive, and you've got a there. Like, think about it grammatically. But yeah, let's just read through this. This evening, ce soir-là, we gave a gala evening. La Sorelli, the principal dancer, put makeup on in her bedroom. Suddenly, Demoiselle, not sure what that is, of the ballet company, Le Cours de Ballet, which climbed back from the scene après avoir. Okay, après avoir, that's got to be followed by a past participle. After having done something, that is a set phrase. I've mentioned that already. So are there any past participles here? Okay, we've got réprimander et danser et tomber. So it could be any of those options, but actually it couldn't be tomber, because tomber, that's got some kind of agreement, and you're not supposed to, there's no necessity for past participles to agree in this construction. That it wouldn't work, so it's got to be danser or réprimander, but I don't know which one yet. I think that's got to be danser. Après avoir dansé, just because it's talking about them going back into the scene and then like running about. And La Sorelli, mécontente, that's sort of unhappy, maybe annoyed, because obviously content is happy, and you've got mais on front, that kind of makes it negative. À something, c'est camarade, so like fellow classmates, fellow dancers, camarade. So here this has got à, so it's in the past tense. She or he à something their classmates, so this is in the past tense, and with the past tense there's obviously the part of avoir or être plus the past participle, so we need a past participle, and because it's avoir, it's not going to be a past participle that has agreement or anything, it's just the basic past participle. So what have we got here? We've got réprimander et danser. It wouldn't be danced, and it wouldn't be that, because it's got some kind of agreement going on, so it's got to be Reprimander, so reprimanded. Reprimanded, just because it makes the most sense. But we can always go over this again at the end. Okay. La petite James a annoncé d'une voix tremblante. Okay, the small James announced in a trembling voice, it's the ghost. The bedroom of La Sorelli paraissait appeared a palace to the gamine. I think that's young people, youngsters, quite young, like children, of the ballet company. I think called a ballet. I'm guessing that's ballet company, who were staying, loger, like to stay, to live in, who were staying in halls, communal halls, shared halls, basically communal, that kind of thing, where they something their time to sing. So we need some kind of verb. I'm guessing it's probably in the present tense. So what have we got here? Or it could be in the imperfect. So it's not going to be asseoir, that's an infinitive. It's not going to be criant, that's some kind of present participle. Won't be danser, won't be disputer, that's a infinitive. Entendant, not that one either. Past participle, present participle, sorry. I think it's got to be passé because it's the only one that would fit grammatically. So F, where they passer le temps, spent their time, that's a phrase. Spent their time singing. Hairdressers, something beating their hairdressers. But this is complex language. This is an extract, so it's not really going to be as easy as normal as like the pieces above, because this is from real French literature. Verre de bière, I know that means glasses of beer. And actually, I'm not even going to read what it says. I'm not going to translate it. I'm just going to think about it grammatically now because it's getting so difficult. There's some kind of list going on here, and it starts off by saying they spent their time à chanter, singing, à battre, beating, à se payer, like paying themselves, buying themselves, and à so something. So this is a list of infinitives which begins with a, so we need an infinitive here, and it's got to be a reflexive verb. I'm thinking it could be asseoir, which means to sit down, and sitting down, but also we've got disputer, and se disputer means to argue amongst themselves. I think it's disputer. It's very likely that they're arguing, to be honest. The Sorelli was superstitious. She locked the door. So fermer la porte à clef is a phrase which means to lock the door, because clé means key. On, something, speaking about the ghost. Okay, so on is usually precedes a present participle. So I'm going to look for some present participles. Okay, we've got criant, which is a present participle. Entendant is also a present participle, so it's either criant or entendant. So either shouting or hearing. It's got to be entendant there. En entendant. By hearing talk of the ghost. It wouldn't be criant. Well, it could be, but I think E makes more sense. And then let's move on here. As I see you, responded the small James, or Jean, is something on a chair. We need some kind of adjective here, or some kind of past participle. So what have we got here? It can't be that one because that's an infinitive. Can't be that one. It's just a present participle, it wouldn't work. It wouldn't be that one, we've used it already. Wouldn't be that one. Wouldn't be that one. Wouldn't be that one. It's got to be tomber. And actually, this is the past tense used with être. And when you're using être, the certain verbs which take être, including tomber, they have to agree with whoever's doing it. And Jam or Jaime is a female because it's la, and tomber agrees to be feminine, so it's H. Okay, le règlement scolaire, school rules. Read the rules of a Swiss college. Choose a title for each paragraph. Write the right letter in the box. So we need to distinguish what each paragraph is talking about. What's the general subject of the paragraph? So let's just read through paragraph 1. We are at school to learn. Apprendre, to learn. Therefore, it is normal to make errors because faire doesn't necessarily mean do, it can sometimes mean make. Then it says, if you give a response which is not right, juste, not right, do not make worries. Okay, so that's quite literal, but it basically means do not worry. Souci is worry. Like that, you can make progress. Faire des progrès. So what's it saying here? It's saying it's normal to make errors. If you give an incorrect answer, don't worry, you will make progress. So which of the letters are saying that? It's not about absence. Malgré des erreurs. Okay, malgré, which means despite errors, one can always succeed. That is definitely paragraph 1. Paragraph 1 is B. Okay, paragraph 2. You must take the biggest, le plus grand, the most big, care. Okay, so prendre soin. It's been separated slightly, but that's a phrase which means to take care. You must take the greatest care of items, of furniture, of whatever, that kind of stuff, appartenant, belonging to school. Meuble, I'm going to say that's like furniture. Yeah, furniture belonging to the school. You can make the most of them. You can use them. Okay, profiter, that means like to make the most of, to kind of profit from, to use. Comme, like everyone. Every lost book will be replaced by your family. Okay, so it's not necessarily furniture, it's like items belonging to the school. Yeah, that kind of thing. So this is about kind of like respecting property of the school. Otherwise you have to pay for it. So what does it say here? It's not that one. It's not about handicapé, that means disabled. It's not about that. Respect material, I think it's that one. Paragraph 3. Certain élèves, students, have parfois, often, difficulties because places are not adapted. For example, for the people with réduite mobility. Okay, that's definitely about disabled people, and we've got that here, handicapé, that's disabled. So 3 must be C. Paragraph 4. Dépasser, I'm just going to say that means to exceed, or kind of, to exceed. You have exceeded, if you have exceeded the limit, you can do a gesture towards your classmates, camarade, to excuse yourself. That does not supprime, that does not remove, that does not kind of delete your mistake, but it allows other students to savoir that you realize. Tu te rends compte means you realize. That comes from the infinitive expression se rendre compte, which means to realize. That you realize the consequences of your actions. Okay. So this is talking about if you've kind of, dépassé la limite, you've exceeded the limit, you've kind of crossed the line, that kind of thing. And you've maybe, so you've misbehaved, you've done something wrong, but then it says you can kind of remedy it by doing a gesture towards your classmates to kind of excuse yourself and show that you understand your actions. And I think that must be this one, because it says when you have done something stupid. I think that must be F. Okay, number 10, poverty. You see this article on the site of a charity, une association caritative, that is a charity. Decide if the phrases are true, false, or not mentioned. Okay, this is like the first question. These are the options. Let's read through it. Mettez-vous, put yourself, à la place, in the place of the small Maya, who lives in a pauvre country, and whose father and mother work all day. Okay, that's answering the first one actually. The parents of Maya have jobs. They do, because they're working all day. Maya must occupy herself. Okay, actually, s'occuper means take care of. S'occuper de, take care of. That's another infinitive expression that is worth knowing. Maya must take care of her brother. Still, encore, a baby. Encore doesn't necessarily mean again. It can often mean still. So her brother is still a baby. And then the second question says Maya is une fille unique. That's not true. That means fille unique, that means an only child, but she's not an only child because we've just read about her brother, so that is false. Let's read the next bit. Maya cannot see a doctor if she is poorly, malade, that's poorly. She and her brother are often hungry. Okay, en femme. Avoir faim, that means to be hungry. I'm just looking at a third question. It says that she wants to become a doctor. That's not mentioned. The only time the doctor's mentioned is that she can't see it if she's poorly. So I think that's just not mentioned. It doesn't mention what she wants to do. Even though I haven't finished reading it, I reckon that's not mentioned. Pas mentionné. Let's just read the rest. Okay. Unfortunately, malheureusement, children like Maya, there are a lot of them. How to help her? What could you do, to help her? Okay, that's kind of just some irrelevant stuff at the end. It's not really getting to the point. 4, children do not have enough to eat. Yeah, they said here that Maya and her brother are often hungry, and there's a lot of children like her, so that is true. Okay, question 11. A musician. Read this article on a musician. She's called Meryl. Okay, and we need to write the answers in French. Toute petite, okay, that means at a young age. Meryl only dreams, okay, rêve, which means dream, and ne que, that little sandwich around rêve, is a negative construction. Well, it's not actually negative, it's just a construction that goes around the verb, which means only. She only dreams of one thing: playing her saxophone in public. Okay, I'm going to highlight that, it's a key point. Her parents were sensitive. That does not mean sensible. It's a false friend in French. It basically just means sensitive. It doesn't mean sensible. Was sensitive to her passion for music because they insisted always on the importance of education. She therefore finished her studies before becoming a professional musician. Okay, that's a key point to me. I'm going to highlight that. Last Friday, Meryl, happy, enchantée, played her instrument devant le maire. Devant means in front. Le maire, that's maire, same thing, same sound in English, although spelt differently. Next year, she will release her first album. Her fans will be happy. So this is all in the future tense. Okay, let's try and answer these questions in French. This can be quite difficult, but you can really just lift stuff from the text. What is the ambition of Meryl since her childhood? Enfance's childhood. Well, it says here, at a young age, she only dreamed of one thing, and that was playing her saxophone in public. So I'm going to get to the point and just say playing her saxophone in public. There's always a lot of extra words and extra kind of fluff that you don't need to write. Jouer son saxophone en public. Okay, and here it says, what did she do before starting her career? Well, it says here that her parents were strict on education and they insisted that it was important, and she finished her studies before becoming a musician. So I would say the answer to that one is she finished her education, or her studies. Elle a fini ses études. 3. Last week, la semaine dernière, what made Meryl happy? Well, it says here she was happy last Friday because she played her instrument in front of the mayor. Okay, I'm going to write that as the answer. Jouer son instrument devant le maire. See, I'm directly lifting it from the text, but it is the right answer. Devant le maire. That made her happy. Why are her fans going to be satisfied? Well, it says here they'll be really happy. They'll be happy because she's going to release her first album. So basically, all I'm going to write is she is going to release her. I'm going to write that she's going to release her first album. So, elle va sortir son premier album. Okay, that's question 11 done. Section C, translation into English. We've got some context here, it's worth reading. Your mother has seen this advertisement in a magazine and asks you to translate it into English for her. Okay. The best thing to do is just to read through the whole thing first. Try and translate it in your head. And even if you see some words you don't know how to translate, highlight them, identify them. Okay, so I'm just reading it through in my head, and I'm going to start translating it now. Avez-vous décidé? That's a question. Have you decided to buy, acheter, to buy a new phone? Okay, portable, that's phone. For your children. So, have you decided to buy a new phone for your children? And then here it says avant, which means before la rentrée scolaire. Okay, la rentrée scolaire, it's difficult to translate it. You can't really translate this literally. It's like the return to school, the going back to school, the day when you go back to school, that kind of thing. I'm just going to write before the return to school. It's the best way, façon, that means way, to stay in contact with them, means them, à la fin, at the end of the day, la journée. They will also be able to speak with their friends en dehors, outside of school. In our shop, we sell the products which will please them. Okay, that's a translation done. Okay, and that is the end of the paper. I really hope you found it useful. If you did, hit the like button and leave a comment if you want to see more walkthrough videos, perhaps on the listening paper. Subscribe for more GCSE French videos and visit the link in the description for more French tutoring.